Hi guys, and welcome to a week wherein we're gonna have Taylor Swift's new album, The Life of a Showgirl, choose exactly how long I read for every single day. So let's just directly get into it because I've been waiting so long to record this and it's finally time now that the album's actually out. So basically how I plan to go about it is to record this video over the span of a work week. So today is a Monday, we're starting today and we'll go all the way up until Friday. And what I'm basically planning to do is have Spotify queued up. Her album will be on shuffle and I'll press play, see whichever song comes up, and whatever song comes up, the duration of it. So say for example, it's 4 minutes and 50 seconds. We'll convert that to hours and minutes. So 4 minutes and 50 seconds would be 4 hours and 50 minutes, and that's how long we'll be reading for that day. And basically I'm just gonna go pick up a bunch of books of my TBR or whatever, try to get through them as we're trying to see how much time I get for the day through the songs or whatever, and kind of read along basically to kind of celebrate the new album release, because again, I have only one Swiftie friend, I have no one else to talk to this about, which is why I'm trying to build hype here with you. I already did go ahead and check which song I would get for today or whatever, and it was Ruin the Friendship, which was 3 minutes and 40 seconds. So it's gonna be 3 hours and 40 minutes worth of reading, because on my way back home from college I was left early today and I figured we could get like a head start into it. So I was finishing up the previous book I needed to finish for last week's video that I didn't end up getting to, but then after that I started checking this out, got the timer running for today's books, and I basically managed to listen to only 15 minutes of the audiobook I started. So right now on the timer we still have 3 hours and 25 minutes left. I'm going to continue listening to my audiobook, kind of reading it out and kind of get through the timer as well, see how long it takes, because the audiobook says it's 9 hours and 45 minutes, but also if I'm listening on 3x speed on the NetGalley app, we should be done in like 3 hours and 15 minutes, out of which 15 is already done. So 3 hours, which means we'll still have some left on the timer, and we'll see how much I get along to reading after. But regardless, I'll catch up with you all now once I have a few more updates on the book, basically, because I don't know much. I just read 3 chapters, and so far it's called The Introvert's Guide to Life and Love, something like that. It was sent to me. Thank you to the publisher for my audio copy. But because I've read only 3 chapters, I just don't know what it's about. It just feels like the title is specifically catering to me. So hopefully it'll be my next new favorite book, because already celebrating the life of a showgirl with this feels a little iconic, because that's my cup of tea. So I'm gonna go get back to it. I have a few errands to be running right now, especially for college, so I'll see what I end up doing all evening, but I'll catch up with y'all once I have more progress on the timer and actually know what's going on in the book, because right now I'm a little clueless. So see you guys in a bit. Hopefully this will be a fun video that you understood the concept of, because otherwise my explanation skills are really poor, but we'll see regardless. I'll see y'all in a bit, and bye. Hi guys, so it's been a few hours, it's so much later now as you can probably tell, and I did go ahead continue on with the timer, but we did go ahead and now finish out the first book. So I came in for, I guess, like the first update to give you all, because then after that we still have to continue some reading because I still have time left for today basically. But the book I was reading, The Introvert's Guide, or An Introvert's Guide to Life and Love, something like that, it was sent to me by the publisher. That's only the reason I picked it up, honestly. I thought the cover was cute and maybe that's what attracted me to it, but I knew I would have gotten to it sometime, just not as soon as I would have right now, which is why here we are. Maybe I shouldn't have read it in the first place, because now that I have read it, despite the fact that I finished it in the span of a day, I'm sorry, I didn't have the best time ever. For premise, it basically follows this introvert, which by the way, that feels like a love letter to me, because listen, hey, that's supposed to be literally catering to me as an introvert as well. And there were some bits that really were relatable in this book, but otherwise it fell flat. Basically, her name is Mallory. She's finally gotten into the groove of things in her life, wherein, you know, everything's going the way it should be going, except one day everything gets upended when her grandma passes away, and in her will or whatever, she leaves Mallory her Florida beach house in her inheritance or whatever. So now Mallory is like a new house owner. She needs to go check that place out. One of the stipulations is that she needs to go and look after her grandfather, who's now a grieving widower, and, you know, kind of look after the house as well. And so she figures, okay, she's going to take a quick break from work without letting her boss know, because it's still COVID era, post-COVID era, wherein she's trying to work online remotely, and so she doesn't think the boss needs to know, but she needs to get back really soon before the boss starts to suspect in the online work days. So she just plans like a quick trip to go to Florida and back, kind of fix up the broken house, meet up with the cute property manager to kind of look into speeding things up so she can rent it out, meet up with her grandfather, kind of help him go through whatever he's going through and try to process all of that, and in the midst of everything, see all the rest that's going down, except when she actually gets there, the situation is so much worse than she expected, because now she's supposed to be shelling out so many thousands of dollars into fixing this house that she doesn't even want, she didn't want in the first place, but has to deal with that. Things aren't going great with her grandfather. The property, it's becoming a huge stress. And then not just that, especially with her work as well. I said it was online, but I didn't say that they had Wi-Fi over there, so it keeps dropping and the boss is getting suspicious and everything, and so she needs to go back really quick desperately. But then things start to take a turn where now, after some time spent living there together with everyone or whatever, she starts to connect with the small tight-knit community there. She starts to open up with her grandfather. Suddenly he's becoming the best person ever that she's ever known or whatever. She's falling for that property manager, except her life is not meant to be there, and that's made glaringly obvious when the office she works at or whatever, they actually post this announcement saying that all employees are to return for physical work in the office. And so now her time over there is limited and she doesn't know what to do about it, and basically that's the entire storyline. I feel like already too much is revealed in the synopsis, but also even if you didn't reveal all of that, the story isn't like interesting enough to keep you going anyway. For me personally, I was listening to it in the background throughout the entire day as I was finishing off errands and stuff, and I'll just say it was just something going on in the background, nothing great or whatever, because when I read books, I still feel some sort of connection to them. It just felt like some sort of boring podcast that was going on and on in the background, and I kept going back on my phone and unlocking it and checking how long I have left on the audiobook, and then dividing that by 3 because I was listening on 3x speed on the NetGalley app. That's the highest you can go, because listen, I hated every second, so I don't really know what to pinpoint to you. I'll just say it felt very underdeveloped. The characters weren't very fleshed out. The romantic interest, one page he's like cute, the next page they're in love. I don't understand where that jump happened. There was no chemistry whatsoever. I feel like the only plotline I really enjoyed was the moments she had with her grandfather, but that too, they were cut short or whatever in the midst of everything else with the property management and stuff to add in that romance, and I feel like that was very unnecessary because this book didn't really have a sense of direction wherein it knew whether some moments it was a romance or some moments it was like a literary fiction or some moments it was like a women's chick lit or whatever. So here we are. I didn't have the best time with it, which is why, despite the fact that I finished it in a day, I'm giving it 2 stars and we're moving on because I'm just so done. The only reason I picked this one up was because I thought that if I finish this in time with the timer today, I can try to finish it out completely, and then tomorrow is the day the new Freida McFadden book comes out, and those books I eat up like crazy, and I wanted everything out of the way today so I could actually look forward to when that's released tomorrow and read that, except now the problem lies wherein I have 10 minutes left on the timer, and the thing is I need to finish it before 12 a.m. tonight, but if I start another book today, I need to work on finishing that before I pick up the new Freida McFadden, because otherwise my brain won't let me focus on it, which is why I have to go start another book. I don't really have a choice. I'm just pissed off that audiobook ended early. So here we are. I am in the dilemma of choosing, which is why I'm going to give myself a bit of a break, because all I've done is literally sit there and work as I was kind of listening to the book out, which is why I'm going to take a few minutes, then I'll come back and maybe before bed in the nighttime when I usually read on Kindle, I'll pick something out and read for the next like 10 minutes or whatever's on the timer. But I'm so sad because I wanted to hold out for the new book and now I can't. I have to read another book until I can get to the new book whenever I get to it this week, but I will get to it, so that's definitely happening. But here we are. Otherwise, honestly, if I would have known this would have been such a flop show and I would still have time left on the timer, whatever, at least in my personal opinion, I would have just picked up the fantasy book I wanted to pick up. But here we are regardless. Nothing else to do about it. A funny thing I did want to mention though is when I was listening to the book, she does mention that she wanted to go cross stitch or something like that, and the funniest part is I'm actually fixing up the embroidery stuff I need to do for one of my subjects, fashion or whatever, and submit. So that's interesting because that's happened 2 times to me now, that it's mentioned in the book but also I'm doing it at the same time. This one and then the right move, which I read like last week or whatever, and so very interesting, just had to mention. But now I'm gonna go keep reading for the 10 minutes that I don't want to, because I wanted to hold out until the Freida book, but then if I hold out till the Freida book, it gets released at 12 a.m. my country time or whatever, and then the day is over and this doesn't really count anymore. So I need to get this done tonight. We'll see how I do that. I don't really have any shorter length book to pick out anyway, so hopefully we'll get like a longer time tomorrow, which would allow me to kind of finish the new book out that I'm starting right now and then start the new Freida book. But we shall see. I'll come update whenever I do next, and hopefully praying and crossing my fingers that we find better reads in this video, because right now my slump is slumping so hard. I hate everything I'm reading and this really needs to get fixed, because otherwise it's really sad. This is my favorite hobby ever and I just don't enjoy it anymore. So we'll see what happens, but I'll catch up with you all in a bit. Bye. Hi guys, so it's now the next evening. It's not that late, so I have lots of time ahead of me to continue and catch up on today's reading, but basically I went ahead, generated today's song of the day. It was Father Figure, which by the way I'm so obsessed with that. Have been streaming it on loop non-stop. I feel like with me personally, I will keep going at one song like crazy or whatever, and then I'll get sick of it in 2 weeks. But until I get sick of this one, the next 2 weeks, it's only going to be Father Figure for me. So I was so happy I got that. And it was 3 minutes and 32 seconds, which is why I have 3 hours and 32 minutes queued right up. I'm ready to start. It's just, I'm in a bit of like a dilemma here because for the last 10 minutes yesterday, because I needed to finish them before 12, and because frankly, I was too exhausted to stay up till 12 to wait for the new book to release, I ended up starting a different book I had on Kindle, like a rom-com or whatever, and it's the first rom-com in the last like few weeks that has actually managed to get me to giggle, which means that's a really good sign. I'm actually enjoying this one. I did continue reading a little bit more this morning, off camera, off timer, because I just wanted to see where it goes, and it was good, don't get me wrong, but also I have been anticipating the new Freida book, The Intruder, for the past like few months ever since she announced it on Insta, because the summary is so interesting, and while I'm not home alone right now, I can literally just cut the lights out or whatever and lock the doors and pretend like I am, tell my family to please not come in so I actually get those vibes and start the book. Because listen, I've been waiting and anticipating this for so long now that I'm so excited it's out. I have to go download it. I will probably go do that right now. It's just for right now, I'm a little bit confused as to whether I should continue that romance that I'm really enjoying or start this one and then put that on hold or whatever and get back to it later, because 3.5 hours isn't a lot. I can definitely finish one of the two, except I don't know which one I want to go ahead with. So I'll go make my decision. I do have a lot of work to get to, so I'm leaning towards The Intruder because haven't got that yet, which means I can probably go get the audiobook instead and continue listening as I get my errands out of the way, and then later tomorrow we can curl up, nicely relax on Kindle and continue my romance and have a good time. So maybe that's what I'll end up doing, but regardless, I'll see you all in a bit once I have either updates on whatever book, because like I said, yesterday's 10 minutes and today's maybe 5 odd minutes just to see where it goes. Wasn't a lot. I don't really know premise about the romance, and the other one, the Freida book, I haven't really started it. I only read the summary like a few months ago and I vaguely remember only bits. So regardless, I'll go start one of the books. We have 3.5 hours queued in for today, and I'm just gonna go lock in, see where it takes me, because I am done eating. I'm free for the rest of the night and we'll see where it goes. But basically, I'll have some progress made on the books now before I come in and update the next time with like a synopsis. But until then, that's where I'm at right now. We'll go pick one of the two. Earlier this afternoon, I did end up doing my mom's nails, and despite my errands, I'm so tempted looking at her nails to do my own. So let's see. I've been trying to give them some breathing room so they feel like healthy again, which is why I don't really know if I want to go ahead and do that instead of my errands, but also I have some missions to make. So regardless, maybe it'll just be the audiobook. Let's see what I end up doing, and I'll catch up with you all in a little bit. Bye. Hi guys, so it's the next evening. An update is long overdue because I have so many things to come discuss that I just didn't get around to doing. So here we are for a bunch of things, but basically since the last time I came in and spoke to you, I had my timer going. I couldn't stop myself. Listen, hey, every time Freida McFadden releases a new book or whatever, it's like my own Super Bowl, so I just caved despite the fact that the last few haven't been so great. And I picked up the audiobook of The Intruder. That's the book I ended up going with to read or whatever. And after I did end up finishing it out last night, because binged it in like one evening, couple sittings, it was pretty good. But after I finished, I still had like 1 hour left on the timer, so I did continue reading, and I will get to that in a second. But first, let's speak about The Intruder before we move on to any other book. Basically, for premise, it follows our female main character Casey. She lives all by herself in this cabin in the middle of the woods or whatever, in the middle of nowhere. And then the funniest part right now for the story is there's like a hurricane warning that comes in. So now that the storm is coming, she's actually freaked out for her safety because the landlord doesn't really do repairs around the house or whatever, which is why she's scared that the roof might cave in. She's scared that the windows are going to smash out. She's scared that there's this like tree outside that's swaying dangerously and it might fall over the house and take everything down with it. But more than anything, she's scared about the fact that there's a girl standing right outside her window in the darkness, in the middle of the storm, all by herself. She's young and she's alone, except the worst part is she's holding onto this knife in one hand and she's covered in someone else's blood. So you don't really know where she came from, you don't really know what's happening or whatever, except our female main character is stupid, just like any other classic Freida McFadden main characters or whatever, and she invites this girl in to kind of shelter her against the storm, and she's starting to learn this girl's backstory, except as the hours progress into the night and the storm starts raging even worse outside, you actually learn this one deep dark secret of the girl that makes Casey wonder if she's gonna be safe and she's gonna be alright, because keep in mind, power lines are down, the nearest neighbor is like half a mile, 1 mile out or whatever. She has no one to contact, she doesn't have weapons because she stupidly left her gun in the same room as the girl, and the girl also has a knife, and she can't contact the cops or anything. There's like a storm raging on outside, she cannot leave and run away. So there's a lot of shit going on. She basically is trying to survive the night, except as the story continues, you start getting a bit of Casey's own backstory or whatever, and as that's happening, you're starting to wonder who the bigger threat is right now, Casey or the girl, because Casey is a little psycho as well. And that's basically where the story is going off. You do definitely get different perspectives that you're trying to see where they line into with the story, and that is interesting. Even the whole thing with the storm and being all alone at home, I feel like it's very atmospheric. But for me personally, reading Freida books is like watching something on Netflix. It's just you haven't found anything better to watch, but since you have the popcorn and you've gotten comfortable anyway, might as well watch what's going on and just finish off with it, because it's interesting enough, it's just not the best. And that's what this book basically felt like, because I went in with the expectations that it would be a slasher book. It wasn't, and that's not like a bad thing or whatever. It just wasn't what I expected, in the sense that it was alright. Again, it caught me in the sense that all Freida books, the twists are crazy, but at this point it's generally the same formula repeating over. So I'm waiting to be wowed again, like I was by the book Never Lie, which she's written, but here we are. I feel like some things that definitely did work in this book's favor was the fact that our main character, she is so stupid, and sometimes you're just questioning her decision making. The chapters are really short, so they flow by. One chapter gets over in like a minute and you're just like moving on to the next, and they end in like these plot twisty senses, so you do definitely want to see what happens next. And then the last thing is definitely the fact that you actually get crazy numbing plot twist towards the end, and once they start, they just keep going, because there isn't like one major plot twist like other thriller books. This has multiple coming in right after the other, and they usually always end in this like open ending, which I find really fun. So I had a good time reading it. It wasn't the best book ever, but it definitely kept me entertained. And listen, I'm just gonna keep looking forward to the next Freida book until I wait. I'll probably go binge her backlist, because she is my favorite, I think, thriller author so far at least. And I don't think I've read so many books of other authors as many I've read of hers, because they definitely do keep me captivated and on the edge of my seat every time I read them. So I'm happy I got to this. I'm happy I finished it out. I gave this like 3.5 stars, and I feel like that's a fair enough rating, because it wasn't the best book ever, but it wasn't the worst either, and I had a good enough time reading. Now moving on to the next book. With my last remaining 1 hour on the timer, I ended up picking my Kindle back up, getting back to the romance, and I don't know how I'm speeding so fast through it, but I managed to finish 30% before my timer rang out. So today I ended up getting up again this morning to generate the song, but already in my head I know that I won't be able to finish like 70% of a romance book with whatever song we get, because this album is in Tortured Poets department, that we'll get songs like Who's Afraid of Little Old Me going into 6 minutes, equating to 6 hours of reading, in which I could still attempt to finish that 60-70%, because that's just not happening. So I figured instead I'm just gonna go pick a different book up, maybe an audiobook, because I do have a lot of work, and in the meantime, once I finish the audiobook out with the remaining time on the song, I'll get back to the romance, and I'll keep doing that until I know there's only a little bit of chunk of the romance book left that'll be enough to finish off in one day fully. I don't know if I'm making sense, I'll explain in a second, but basically I ended up generating earlier this morning because I had the time. I got the song Eldest Daughter, which by the way, that song, so incredible. I'm an elder daughter myself. Started crying instantly when I heard it, because truly I don't think I've ever heard a better song that I've related to so hard. So I'm happy that definitely came in the video, and it is on the longer side. I think it's one of the longest ones on the album. It's just, it isn't very long in comparison to what Tortured Poets was, so I can't expect 6 hours on the album, because this was 4 minutes and 6 seconds, which equates to 4 hours and 6 minutes on our timer. And I did end up starting the timer, picked up a different audiobook that I was in the middle of for like a few weeks or whatever since it was sent to me, and I did end up continuing that, except right now I looked up and I have apparently been going for about 2 hours. That's crazy, I didn't even realize it, without a single update. And so here I am. My audiobook, it does say I have an hour left, and for context, I did pick my audiobook back up from the 30% mark, because I did start it a few few weeks ago when it was sent to me. I just never got back to it for some reason, and so figured I'd get to it. Again, I'm listening on the NetGalley app on 3x speed. Thank you so much to the publisher for sending it my way. So it's definitely speeding through. And I looked up, I checked the time on the audiobook. It says I have 1 hour left, which would actually equate to 20 minutes because I'm listening on 3x. So I did take a break just now. I am hungry. I'm gonna probably go grab something to eat right now, and as I'm eating, I'll listen to the last bit of the audiobook out and we can continue the timer. But there is lots of time to keep reading today, so I will probably just go finish that out in the next like 20 minutes, half an hour or out or whatever. And then once I'm done with that, I'll come give you updates on that, and then maybe we can pick the romance book back up and then work on finishing that, because that's what I'm trying to do with the remainder of time. Because if 2 hours is enough to at least get halfway or a little beyond in the romance book, I'm definitely sure we can pick the romance up tomorrow and finish it for good, and then we'll see what we end up doing on Friday. But those are basically the great plans of the day. I'm gonna go back to my current audiobook right now. I hope this is not confusing you or anything. It is a thriller because I am in a thriller mood right now, so we'll see how it does end up, because I am interested in the conclusion or whatever. But regardless, I'm just gonna go now because I am hungry. And now, long update cut short, I'm going and I'm gonna cut the yapping. So see you guys in a bit once I'm done with that book. But that's it. Bye. Hi guys, so it's now the next day. It is a Thursday and it's typically way earlier in the day than I would generally start recording, but listen, everything got out of the way. I am free now. For context, I didn't have any college all week, which is the only reason I've been able to get through so many books, because otherwise I just can't do it in a regular week or whatever. But I do need to go tomorrow, so we'll get to that once we get to that, and we'll figure out what we're doing about that later. But for now, it is Thursday. I do have to queue up the timer for today and start today's reading, except a quick preface on what I ended up doing yesterday before we move on to today's stuff. So yesterday, I do believe I came in to let you know that hey, I have 20 minutes of audiobook left, and then after that I'll just continue reading whatever's on the timer, my Kindle or whatever. That's what I ended up doing. I got sent 2 copies of the book. I think it's called Wanting Daisy Dead, and I ended up picking the audiobook up, and that's the one I ended up finishing. But I also had it on Kindle as another option if I wanted to keep going, and so here we are. I definitely feel like audiobook was the better pick, at least in my opinion, and I'm so grateful I chose to read it that way rather than Kindle, because it wasn't the best time ever. And the only reason I kept going is because the narration, there's like different perspectives of different characters, and it's all done by a different voice actor. And so I continued only because I was enjoying the audiobook and because everyone had like a British accent, rather than just because of the storyline, because that just fell flat for me. But for a quick premise, basically this book follows Daisy Harrington. She stepped out 20 years ago to go out for the evening or whatever, except she doesn't come back. A week later, her body is found. Then her killer is discovered. Case closed. That's the end of it. Everybody moves on. And then now, fast forward to present timeline, you're actually following her university like flatmates. There's 5 of them in their current perspective or whatever. And it's the weekend where it would have been her 40th birthday or whatever if she would have lived. But because she didn't, they're celebrating in her memory or whatever. There's this podcast that's taking place or whatever that's trying to actually discover what truly happened to Daisy, and they kind of send out these mails to all 5 of these people that you're following the perspective of, letting them know that hey, you need to step forward now that it's her 40th birthday weekend, because we're doing a podcast special. You need to come on the podcast and speak to us about it, or we'll reveal your secret. Because every single one of them had some sort of role to play in Daisy's death, and they don't want any of that to come to light, which is why all 5 of them have to go out for that podcast, sit down and speak about it. Except once they get there, they find out that the man who was originally convicted for Daisy's murder, he was actually wrongfully convicted. He was the wrong guy, and now everyone strongly believes it's one of these housemates. So one of their secrets is actually the fact that they were the ones who killed Daisy or whatever, and the rest of them have secrets that lead up to her death and that are huge, but they aren't necessarily killing her or whatever, but they're just stuff they need to keep secret for a good reason, because it could be horrible if it came out for them, which is why all of them go for that weekend. They're now trying to figure out who did it and why they did it and what truly went down that day. And it's very interesting, but I feel like none of their secrets were that great or whatever. There was only one secret that came out towards the end that had me shook, but then even the plotline and the story and the premise, it's very interesting, but it also feels a little bit like so many other books I've already read For example, The French Girl, I read it like last year, almost the same premise, and nothing wrong with that, but it just feels like it's overdone a little bit, and this one didn't really stand out in my opinion because there wasn't too much to it. Even towards the end, I kind of guessed what truly would go down anyway, and I guessed the person definitely that was involved, so it wasn't much like a shock or whatever for me, but I'm happy I read it regardless. And it did go by extremely slowly. There were a lot of horrible characters, people you genuinely truly hate, and so definitely keep that in mind. They're all annoying and they're all kind of untrustworthy, but I guess that's the point of the book, and it'll keep you guessing towards the end unless you guess it. But otherwise it doesn't have much going in its favor, because apart from those like one huge secret of each person that does get revealed at some point, I feel like pacing was also very off. So I'm happy I read it regardless. I'm giving it like 3.5 stars, but otherwise it wasn't that great. It was good entertainment, don't get me wrong, but otherwise it was alright. Not the best thriller I've read, but here's where we're at right now. I did continue reading my romance book or whatever on Kindle, and then I was reading up till late in the night because I wasn't able to put it down. Genuinely, I don't think a romance has made me feel this way in a little bit, wherein I'm actually giggling my heart out, having the best time, truly blushing at everything that's going on, swooning. And so I'm happy to be reading it, and now I did manage to hit like the 65% mark, something like that, before I went to bed. So what I'm gonna do right now is actually pick this back up, because I have good hopes that we'll be able to finish today, and then we'll figure out about tomorrow's book, what we're doing or whatever, because of college and everything. But for now, this is the book I'm picking up. It's called Behind the Net. I'll come give you a premise at the time I'm done, honestly, because this entire video, that's all I've been doing. So I'll keep reading, and hopefully I should be done soon. The song I did generate for today just now before I came in to record was cancelled, which is so funny to me because all my favorite songs from the album are coming one after the other in line. First we had Father Figure, then we had Eldest Daughter, and now we have Cancelled, which is like my #1 song on the entire playlist because it gives such strong Reputation vibes. So imagine if I get The Fate of Ophelia tomorrow, because that's like my top 4, easily my favorites of the album, and that would be so crazy that comes in the video. So hopefully that's the one I get for tomorrow, or hopefully I get something that's shorter in length, because I definitely do have college and stuff, other things to be doing, but we shall see. I just thought that was a funny coincidence, and so now that we got cancelled, I need to go read for 3 hours and 32 minutes, because that's 3 minutes and 32 seconds the song, something like that. So I'm gonna go pick my book back up. I don't think it'll take all that time to read it, but we'll see regardless how long it does, and with the remaining time I think we can just start tomorrow's book and see where that takes us. But that's where I'm at right now. So happy to be curling up with my Kindle in bed and finally just sitting in my PJs doing absolutely nothing but read, because that's my favorite thing in the world. And a lot of work has been going on in the sense that I just don't have the time to do it these days. So that's what we're doing right now. Great self-care day. Maybe I'll paint my nails later, who knows, but that's the plan for today. I'm gonna go start my reading for the day, get the book done, and I'll see y'all in a bit. But that's it. Bye. Hi guys, so it's many hours later. It's the same day, however it's like 9:32 at night right now, and I have gone ahead, after locking in and despite my several breaks or whatever, just finished the day's worth of reading. So I came in to give you an update, because after this point it's gonna be a little sporadic, because I have a shoot to be going for tomorrow. The same one from last week is continuing on because we weren't able to finish in time. And then not just that, I have a couple other things with college, like classes and stuff that I need to be attending. There's a morning lecture, and then the shoot is in the evening, and because the place is too far from home, I can't go for the lecture and then come back home and go again in the evening, because that's just not feasible. So I'm gonna be there the entire day, and thanks to that I don't really know if I'll have the time to come in and record tomorrow specifically. Like, I'll try, obviously, I'll definitely be reading, but I just don't know when I'll get time to sit down and speak to you again. So here I am for a couple quick updates before we go and figure out what we're doing next. Basically, since the last time I came in and spoke, I locked in, got into my favorite, most comfortable reading position ever, on the bed or whatever, blanket all over me, sleeping and reading on my Kindle. Earrings went off because those hurt in bed. Hair went up in a bun. Genuinely had the best time ever. I finished my book out. Essentially, this one's called Behind the Net. It's like a hockey romance, and a couple months ago I think I read like my first hockey romance ever. I believe it was called Mile High. After that I read another, Collide, and while they were alright, they weren't like great, and while I did enjoy the trope, definitely, I just didn't have the best time with those books specifically, which is why I haven't really been gravitating towards those. However, this is like a hockey romance, ice hockey, and in my head, ice hockey, because it's cold ice, is the season to be reading right now, getting into it, even though that makes no sense whatsoever. So I just told myself, hey, that was the first book I saw on Kindle in the romance section or whatever, so I was like, I have to get it, pick it up and read it, because I've been seeing amazing things about it over the years. And so downloaded, so happy I got through with it, and now so happy I finished it because I had the best time ever. And now I have like a fun new series to get to, and a really good hockey romance to recommend, unlike the others I've read that I haven't enjoyed, because this one follows this girl called Pippa. Her ex basically shatters everything she's had in life, because she had this like whole dream and this like rose-colored lenses bubble of how she's gonna go into the music industry, have all these big career plans for herself, except he shatters everything and suddenly she's just too broken to try anything out. Now fast forward, she's trying to move on with life, move on from him. She gets a new job working as this assistant for like a hockey player or whatever, and he's called Jamie, and he's not the best person to work with because he's like grumpy and he's jerky and he's like grouchy, and she just thinks he hates her or whatever because they used to be in high school together, except he hasn't acknowledged that. So she just believes he's so much of like a grump that he just forgot and he just doesn't want to speak about it. So she's just like moving on from the fact and just pretending that she doesn't know him either, going on with the assistant life normally or whatever, except she doesn't know that Jamie was in love with her all throughout high school. He just never admitted it because she was already with her ex at that point. And so he's standing back watching from the shadows. He thinks that she forgot they were in high school together, so he doesn't bring it up, and all along he's trying his best to be the best person ever. So he is doing all these small things to kind of bring her back out of that shell and bring, you know, light and love back into her life. And suddenly she's writing songs again, she's wearing his jersey and she's falling for him, except, you know, they're not sure if they're right for each other or whatever because their behavior types are completely different. He's grumpy, she's very sunshiny, and so there's that. Can I just quickly say the whole aspect of they know from the beginning that they like each other, they're just not showing it, and the forced slow burn that comes with it, it was so well done. But then not just that, I enjoyed the whole dynamic of everyone present. She's kind of given the assistant job in the first place to kind of look after his dog that he gets at the very beginning of the book very unexpectedly, because otherwise he doesn't ask for favors. And so watching both of them kind of open up to each other in that sense is also really fun. But the whole romance and then the rest of it, oh my god, I had the best time ever. Even the found family in it, the other hockey players on the team or whatever that I'm hoping that the next few books are about, had the best time ever. And my new favorite character, if you've read the book, is Rory. I believe his book is next, and I can't wait because this guy, stop, I was giggling every time he was like on screen. I wish he got more screen time. Best time ever. So happy I read it. I can't wait for Rory's book, and I wish he got more screen or page time, I guess, in this one. But the next one, it's gonna eat so hard because he was just so flirty, golden retriever, literally my type. But here we are. I can't wait to move on to the next one, and until I do, this was like 4.5 stars easy because it was so good. I want to tell you about so many scenes, but I can't because it'll be huge spoilers. But there was this one specifically towards the beginning, not a huge spoiler, but you can definitely skip if you don't want to know. He's kind of telling him that she's gonna walk his dog at the dog park, and she's excited to meet someone called Andrew, or I think the dog is called Andrew, I'm not really sure. And Daisy, the dog, loves playing with Andrew or something like that, and the owner is pretty cool, her friend or whatever, and he's just like, I'll go with you. And she thinks it's because she is not like trusted with his dog or whatever, and she's just like, oh, that place is safe, except he's going because of the guy there and not because of the dog. I don't know, that was just so sweet to me. It's so funny, so cute. Best time ever. Genuinely, the way he talks, it was so swoony. You have to pick this up if you haven't already. Great new series to start this time of the year, especially because the vibes were so amazing. And here we are. I'm happy I read it. I'm happy we got through that in this time or whatever. But then with the extra time that was left, because I definitely finished before the timer rang out, I started the next book, which I will also be continuing, and that'll be the last book for this video. It's actually literary fiction, gone complete genre change, because I want to keep the good romance vibes going, but at the same time I don't know what book I should pick up next, and I don't want to pick up Rory's yet because I'm trying to save the series. I haven't really found such great romances in a while personally, and I do want to speed through them. So I figured literary fiction is the way to go because I haven't gone to it in a few months, and autumn is always the time in my head for them. I did start this one called Cleopatra and Frankenstein, and so far, unlikable characters. I hate them so much. I just cannot relate to them. And not just that, I hate reading about their perspective and their story, but for some reason the story is interesting enough that I keep going back to it, in the sense that I can't put it down. So I'm gonna go keep listening to it because I'm audiobooking right now. That's what I'm gonna do on my commute tomorrow back and forth from college as well. And then once I'm waiting in line, we'll probably just download the ebook and start reading that too. we shall see. But so far, I don't know much about story, so there isn't a lot I can tell you. It's just right now, there's something about what's going on. Like, it's not even the best thing ever, but for some reason with the drama that's in it, I just feel like going back to it because it's so messy and so weird, and I don't know. So I'm having a good time, because otherwise literary fiction books, the first like 10% is alright, and then after that I'm just forcing myself to continue, at least in the past few ones I've read, wherein they're just not interesting, but I don't want a DNF, which is why here we are. At least this is interesting enough that I want to keep going, so I'm gonna go keep going. We'll see where it goes. I don't really have high hopes, but regardless, maybe I'll find a new favorite book after the good luck we've got going right now with this one, so we shall see. I'm gonna see what I end up doing, but yeah, for tomorrow maybe I might just go ahead and start the timer early, like as soon as it's 12 or whatever, because I'm taking a break now. But as soon as it hits midnight, I'll see what song we generate and start the timer for that early. And because I'm a late night owl anyway, maybe I'll try reading a little before bed, continuing the book or whatever, seeing how much of it I can get through. And maybe I'll do my nails for tomorrow's shoot as well. Said that in last week's video, it didn't happen, but we shall see. Basically, there's a lot to do, and that's what I'm gonna do right now. That's basically what I'm planning. So those are the books I started and I finished and whatever else. And now I don't know when I'm gonna see you, but hopefully I will continue and finish this in the span of tomorrow itself, because I am listening on 4x speed and audiobooks get by much faster than my Kindle reads. So it will get done. I just don't really know when, and I don't know when I'm coming in to speak next, but we will do this challenge and I will finish the timer, and I'm not gonna fail out of it. So see you guys hopefully whenever I see you next for whatever song we get and how much ever time that is, and when we're finishing this book out. But that's it. I'll see you all in a bit. Hopefully this wasn't like a ranting, yapping update, because my brain is fried from all this reading. I need a break right now, and that's what I'm gonna do. So that's it. See you guys in a bit. Bye. Hi guys, so now it is the night that I finally have to go ahead and post this vlog, and there was no outro per usual, which is why here I am to come and conclude it. It has been a couple weeks, but it's been a very busy couple weeks, which is why there was no update from me, but I did go ahead and finish our challenge. So Friday was really busy. The weekend after that was worrying about other things, and that's the reason I didn't come into update. But now, to catch you up on what I ended up doing for the last day of the challenge, Friday, I generated a song. I got Elizabeth Taylor, which by the way, that perfectly lines up with the rep situation we've got going. We got cancelled, and right after that we got this song, and that's great. But I really wish we got The Fate of Ophelia, because that would have been my top 4 in like a lineup. However, it's okay. I'm happy with this one regardless. I took its duration or whatever and converted it to the amount we had to be reading, and I started earlier with the timer. So I started exactly at 12 midnight, because I just knew that if I wouldn't have been able to get through it. And it's a good thing I did, because I started listening, and while I was earlier in the midnight hours or whatever, I ended up doing my nails. I went for like a mint green color to kind of celebrate the album, and I feel like it perfectly matches up, and I'm so happy with the way they turned out. They look like garbage right now because it's been a couple weeks, but yeah, this is what I ended up going with. Happy I did my nails regardless. And while I was doing it, I ended up continuing listening to Cleopatra and Frankenstein. The next morning, I also ended up listening to the same audiobook on my commute both ways or whatever, and I managed to finish on my commute back home along with the timer. So both of them went off on public transportation, which is why I could not really record the end of it. But we did end up finishing our target for the day, and I'm so happy that it worked out perfectly, because now that we finished the book, I have a couple of thoughts to give you, and then we can wind the vlog up. Basically, this book follows 24-year-old Cleo. She's like a painter who's come now to live in the US, but she's originally from the UK, and she's having the best time. She's kind of having, or I guess living the life wherein she's exploring her youth and her freedom and all these different privileges that come as living there or whatever. Except as she's doing all of this, she's also getting to creatively explore and kind of fuel herself. But in the midst of everything else, as it turns out, her visa in the US expires, and suddenly she has to go back home. She has no other option. Now enter Frank. He's like 20 odd years older than her. He's completely her opposite. He's like a self-made businessman, not a creative bone in his body. But they are having this like fling sort of situation or whatever that came out of this very chance, almost like odd meeting they had. And so he kind of suggests that what if they get married? It's very impulsive, just so she has like the chance to get an opt for a green card and continue living in the States like she wants to, because he is infatuated with her at that point. And so the book basically follows their marriage and how one reckless decision can affect not just their own lives, but the lives of everyone else surrounding them, so like their friends and family and all the other cast of characters involved with them. And then not just that, you actually kind of see how they fall in love almost, and then they fall out of love and everything else that comes with it, and a lot of adult messy complications. And I really want to compare this to Normal People, because I just finished that for last week, last week's video, you will see it next week. I know my schedule makes no sense, and the only thing is I actually saw a direction in normal people and actually found its meaning profound, because once you read it, you get to like peel back these like themes or whatever and try to understand it. Here, for some reason, it's not about literary fiction, because I do have a good time with some literary fiction books. It's just that some are hit or miss for me, and this, I'm still deciding what it was, because I don't understand the point of this book. It starts at a specific bit, it ends at a specific bit, everything else that comes in the middle, I just don't, it doesn't make sense to me personally. I just don't understand what I was supposed to take away from this, because if you're reading like a mystery book, you see some thriller plot points or whatever, you're trying to uncover the plot twist. If you're reading a romance, you're trying to watch two people fall in love, fall out of love, fall back in love, and that's very interesting to me. How in this one specifically, there just isn't any point to it, at least in my opinion. So here we are. If this is your favorite book, do not come after me. I definitely picked it up for the cover and the cover only, but it gave me fall vibes, and I'm happy I'm getting back into my literary fiction era this fall, and I'm happy I did pick it up. It's just maybe I shouldn't pick up books based on cover again, because this definitely felt like it would have pushed me back into my reading slump. It also definitely felt like a dumpster fire kind of situation, wherein it's morbid enough that I can't look away, but at the same time I'm wondering why I'm looking in the first place, because it's not entertaining enough to continue. So very mixed opinions on this one. I still don't know where I stand with it, which is why I'm going to give it 3 stars, but I definitely will pick up more by this author, because they definitely had a very interesting writing style that I'd love to explore more of and see maybe other books in their backlist. But yeah, here we are. Did go ahead and finish this with the timer, and I'm so happy I did, because now we've reached the end of the vlog finally. I had basically the best week ever, kind of using the life of a showgirl to kind of choose timing or whatever that we're supposed to be reading for every day, and then picking up books and forcing myself to read for that time every day, because surprisingly I feel like that somehow has been curing my slump. I'm feeling more inclined to pick up books again, and I'm happy again, especially with my reading journey. So maybe this video was a step in the right direction, and I'm so happy I recorded it. If you guys had a fun time coming along with me as well, please like, comment, share, subscribe. YouTube things, you know how to do them. And if you want me to make more videos like this, so like on her other albums or any other artist's albums, please let me know, because that'll be so fun. Let me know also if you want me to make a video wherein her songs definitely pick my reads or whatever from the new album, except now we're going to choose by meaning, so a book that I can correlate to the song that comes up, because that'll be fun too. But regardless, now that I am coming out of my slump and I've got done nails, I feel like this video was a success. And so here we are, we've now reached the end of the vlog. I'll see you whenever I see you, because that's it. I have nothing else to yap about. And so next week, hopefully when I post, see you then. Until then, please take care, stay safe, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. This is it. See y'all. Bye.